home and continue whatever it is that we need to do this evening. But I am so glad to see you all here today. We have such a big day, and I love to see all of these faces. So thank you for taking the time out on a irregular time for us, because you guys know how important today is for all of us and for our future. We are going to start our meeting as we do, reading the antitrust. I'm going to try to do this without my glasses, so we'll see what happens. The Greensboro Regional Realtors Association is a not-for-profit trade association devoted to improving the business conditions of the real estate industry in our region. GRA meetings and events often include real estate professionals and other industry stakeholders who compete with each other for work for competing businesses. GRA is committed to conducting all meetings and events in a professional, ethical, and lawful manner, including in adherence to all antitrust laws. To that end, the topics for this meeting will focus on advancing the interest of real estate professionals and consumers of real estate services, increasing competition, reducing risk for all parties involved in real estate transactions, and sharing insights on business best practices. The following discussion topics are always prohibited: agreements to fix prices, limit product or service offerings, allocate geographical territory or customers, and refuse to deal. Any discussion inconsistent with this policy will not be tolerated. Surely that will get shortened in the years to come, we hope. So, but all very important. I'm going to call this meeting to order. And first off, we want to start the meeting with thanking from the bottom of our hearts our two sponsors. Without them, today would not be what it is. And those two sponsors, if you saw them outside, Sawyer Extermination and First National Bank. If you guys could stand so we could thank you. Thank you. They may still be outside, and I know that they brought some information, so if you guys have a second, take a minute to thank them, and they'll be back up at the end of the meeting. I am going to introduce, and you know I always love to pick our current and future leaders to handle our cares and concerns. And if you know her, you love her. There's no two ways about it. And if you are not lucky enough to know her, get to know her. She's one of my favorite people, and she brings a peace to all of us. So I'm going to welcome up Lindy Pope.
We would like to extend our condolences to the family and friends of the following individuals. Family and friends of former NC State Representative Margaret Maggie Jeffus Gaultiere, longtime local realtor supporter who passed on Saturday, August the 9th. GRA member and past president Sandra O'Connor. Sandra, our hearts go out to you, especially for your brother Richard O'Connor, who passed on Saturday, August the 9th. Family and friends of Jim Melvin, longtime friend, GRA supporter, and former Greensboro mayor, who passed away on Sunday, August the 10th. GRA member Chris Jackson, whose father Dan Jackson passed away on Monday, August 25th. And GRA members Patrick and Charlotte Valenta with Keller Williams 1. Charlotte's father, George Hall Jr., passed on Monday, September 1st, so just this week. Please keep these members and their families in your thoughts and prayers. A contribution has been made to a foundation that's close to my heart, which is the Greensboro Regional Realtors Foundation, in memory of each of these family members. So my inspiration today is, I've tried to make it fitting according to what we're celebrating today, which is our future leadership here at GRA. So for everyone, but especially those who are about to find out that they're embarking on a new journey. The hereafter leader. So here being in today, while understanding the after is what today's work will leave for the next generation of leaders who will come behind you. When we look back at the end of our lives and careers, will we be able to say we left our companies and industries better because of the lives we touched? Not that we were perfect, but we were authentic. not what we achieved, but how we celebrated others' achievements. Not what we were recognized for, but how we took the time to recognize others. And I know that all of you in this room, I'm sure, do that, and just a little encouragement for us to continue to do so. So now, if you'll just stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindy. And as a little short friend, as a side note, Lindy has been phenomenal in creating or recreating our Women's Council from dust. And it is thriving, and they're doing some of the best things and some of the best work. So kudos again to you for everything that you do. We're lucky to have you. So I'd like to say it's because of our beautiful faces, but I have a feeling I know what beautiful face this is for. We have lots of guests today in the house, and they're probably here to see Kevin, but we're going to act like they love us just the same. So I want to recognize those guests, and if I'm missing anybody, please let me know. Other than you guys, I welcome you all, but we do have some special guests in the house today. We have Lauren Hill, who is our Regional Economic Developer for the Carolina Core. Hey, Lauren. We also have Robbie Perkins, who is one of our members, just so happens to be running for mayor, and where is Robbie? He's over here too. We have Hank Hannings, who's our Government and Community Relations Manager for Duke Energy. There he is. Thank you. Is Mike McKinney here? Hey, Mike. How are you? Mike McKinney is here, and he's running for City Council at large. Thank you for being here, Mike. And we also have Pam Webb, our RVP. She stands out. You don't have to look hard for Pam. She's head to toe in purple sparkles, and she also will gladly take some money for RPAC while you're here. She said she has a pin to give you if you would like to donate, if you have not already. So check for the purple sparkles, I think all the way down to the Crocs, so you can't miss Pam. So thank you for being here, Pam. And certainly last but not least, Sandra O'Connor, our very own, with the North Carolina Real Estate Commission. Thank you all for taking time out of your day to be here. Have I missed anybody that I did not see? Not that you all aren't our favorite guests, but we just want to recognize anybody that we need to. So thank you again. I get the honor of introducing our speaker for today. We are lucky enough to have Kevin Baker here. He is the Executive Director of the Piedmont Triad Airport Authority. Kevin is the Executive Director of the Piedmont Triad Airport Authority. He joined the authority in January of 2008. He served previously as a Vice President of the Michael Baker Corporation, a large international consulting firm, and in that capacity served as a consultant to the authority for approximately 10 years, leading major airport development programs, including the FedEx and Honda developments. He has also served in a consultant role for major programs at airports nationwide. Kevin is a 1990, I just heard my dad get mad at me for chewing gum. I'm sorry, I forgot to take it out. Kevin is a 1990 graduate of Lehigh University with a Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering and a minor in Finance. And I was told to ask you if you were a mountain hawk or an engineer. Oh, okay, there's your answer. He has chaired and served other active roles in a number of civic and business-related organizations. Kevin and his wife, Lynn, have two now college graduates. What does that feel like? Woo! You made it through. Woo! You made it through. And they live in northern Guilford County. This is so black and white compared to who Kevin is to our community. Pretty much everything that this is not even a sentence in his playbook. He is central to everything that we are doing right now, everything that we're planning for, all of the meetings that we are excited about. 90% chance it leads back to Kevin. Every meeting that we go to, there's never a time that his name is not mentioned, and we are in debt to you for your commitment to our community and our growth, and for making the Piedmont Triad the best part of North Carolina, and we're up next in the nation thanks to you. So I would love to give a warm welcome to Kevin Baker.
Wow, if your dad starts talking in my ear, I'm going to get really freaked out. That was unbelievably nice, and the little passage that was read earlier, I think, really says it all. I've been saying an awful lot of times now, we're standing on the shoulders of giants, right? And so that passage is talking about right now thinking about what you can do to make sure that the next generation is going to be set, and the generation after that. We right now are where we are because of decisions made 50, 40, 30 years ago by people who may not be with us anymore. So I don't want any of that credit. It goes to these people who put us all in the position to be able to compete for these projects because we had land. You're going to see some of this stuff. I'm going to go through a PowerPoint presentation, but it's not going to be death by PowerPoint tonight. So if you want to ask questions anywhere along the way, I'd rather it be just all interactive. But yeah, I mean, I stepped into a lucky position in many regards. I do want to also, just for a second, Jim Melvin was mentioned, and there are a lot of us probably in the room. I know a lot in the room. I can look over here and see a number of folks who are close with Jim, in many different ways. But there is one person who probably took better care of Jim than anybody except for his own family, and that's Kevin Green, and one of you standing in the back of the room. We all will never know all the things that he did to take care of Jim over the last couple of years. So bravo. That's just really cool. So getting on with this presentation, you all might want to go get another drink now. She said earlier we're going to cram 3 hours into an hour. I was told I got 3 hours, and that's what I planned for. So you might want to grab 2 while you're back there. If you're here to see me, you probably need to have a couple drinks. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the airport. I know you all want to hear about what's going on with Jet Zero. You probably want to hear about Boom. We can answer all those questions. Well, I can answer them very fuzzily, if that's a word at this point, because we just don't yet know all of how that's going to play out. But we'll talk about it as we go. So our mission, and I've been here to this group before, I think, and you've probably seen some of this, and this goes all the way back to when Robbie was the mayor the first time we developed this mission. So when you think about an airport, you think about a place of transportation. It's a place where you go to get on a plane or go pick up your loved one who's been on a plane, or a package to get on a plane, right? That's what you think of. We are that. We certainly are a place of transportation, but we are way more than that because we're a place of employment, right? There are almost 10,000 people who are working on the airport property right this minute. 10,000 direct employees on the airport. Maddie is one of the newest ones right there, working for Honda. I mean, when we put this stuff together, this is just, I'm going to tell you little side stories. Brent Christensen, for those of you who know Brent Christensen, anytime he sees me get up on one of these things, he's like, oh, Kevin's going to say, I got to tell you a story. Because I jump into these stories. But when we were doing this, one of the things that I thought of at that time in my brain was, what can we do now that's going to make my kids, who were at that time, let's say 12 and 10-ish, what can we do now that might give them an opportunity that's going to make them want to be here once they graduate? Both of them are not, by the way, but one's in Raleigh, one's in Charlotte. But, and then when you think about their friends and having opportunities for them to be able to come back, people like Maddie, to be able to work in this community, stay here in a place that we all love. So that second part of our mission occupies about 90% of my time. There's another guy who works with me named Alex Rosser. You guys might know Alex or his family. He is pretty much the guy who's running the airport on a day-to-day basis while I'm out chasing things like Jet Zero, etc. Usually people will think that we are somehow subsidized by government. I want you to just understand we are basically a small business. This is actually last year's numbers because we're now into fiscal year 26, but we're roughly a $50 million business. We have an expense budget that is now, I think this year, $27 million, and then some long-term debt of about $6 million. So if you subtract the bottom two from the top one, that money is getting plowed. It's not profit. It's not like we take that out of the airport and Kevin gets it. It goes plowed back into the airport. Yeah, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? It all gets plowed back into the airport. We develop the terminal, whatever needs to be done with that kind of money. So we are a business. Oh, let me go back. The revenue is coming from the airlines. It's coming from Jet Zero once we get a lease negotiated with them, which is really going to take a long time. But, you know, Honda, Heiko, all of these companies. And then, of course, consumers. If you come out to the airport and you rent a car, we get a little piece of that. If you order a Coke in the restaurant, we get a little piece of that, etc. Parking, another one. All right, so let's just talk quickly about air service. I'm going to talk, you guys might have a lot of questions about air service. It used to be that I'd come to these presentations, and the top three questions, why don't we have Starbucks? Number one. We fixed that one. Number two, why don't we have Southwest? And number three was, why are there so few direct destinations, right? Story. This is a funny one. You guys remember the movie Poltergeist? All right, so you remember the character actor was about this tall. She was the medium who they were trying to get the ghost out of the house. A lot of you are nodding. Some of you are too young to know what the hell the movie Poltergeist is, and that's kind of scary. So this one day I'm sitting at my desk, and it was lunchtime, and we didn't have any security at that time. And all of a sudden, this lady appears in my office door across from me, and she's like, I want to see Kevin Baker. She's this tall. She's got a rollerboard that I swear was taller than her. And I go like this. I haven't seen him. And I really did say that. And I looked at her and I said, no, it's me. What can I do for you? And she says, well, I want to know why I can't get a direct flight to see my son. And I said, all right, well, so where's your son live? International Falls, Minnesota. She thinks we should have direct service to International Falls, Minnesota. You remember that. I'm going to come back to this in a second. All right, so passengers right now are at about 2019 levels. We finally got through the COVID crisis, and we're back to normal. We're through it now for sure. I think this year is going to be looking really good. Our seats are up. If you haven't flown on United to go out west, go do it. We need keep these. Whenever we get flights, we need to use them. So encourage people to go out and use them. If you're talking to somebody you're selling a house to, tell them to also go on vacation. Breeze. If you've not flown anywhere on Breeze, go somewhere. All right, hands up if you've flown Breeze. All right, another test. Anybody who has flown out of RDU because you got a low-cost fare or whatever, like, put your hand up. Oh, shame on all of you. Put your hands down. You're not invited next time. Now, Breeze is a great airline. It's a really neat product for our market because the aircraft are right-sized. Okay, we don't need 80-seaters, but we don't need 190-seaters either. They're right in the middle. It's sort of a Goldilocks airplane. And, you know, as long as they choose the right markets to serve for us, I think they can be really successful. Somebody in this room is going to ask me when we're going to get direct service to Boston. We're working on it. It's coming, I think, maybe on Breeze, maybe on somebody else. We'll see. But I would just say, with Breeze, give it a try. Give it a run. This is founded by the guy who founded JetBlue. Okay, so a lot of that same sort of feel is there. They have a cult following, great airline. So let's talk about, well, before we go there, let's finish the story about the lady. So there's a thing in our industry, one of the we're heavily metric driven. I mean, we're always looking at various metrics for all sorts of different parts of the business. So one of the things that airlines look at is called PDEWS, P-D-E-W-S, passengers daily each way. So that is a measure of the number of people who want to fly between two markets, a market meaning an airport. That's the number of people who want to get on a plane and go from here to, let's say, LaGuardia, or LaGuardia back, right? So to make it real, LaGuardia literally, about 300 people every day on average want to fly from here to LaGuardia, and 300 people want to fly back from LaGuardia. Not the same people, obviously, but that's an average number, right? So to give you another example, Boston is about 98, 100 PDUs. So it's sort of like this level where you're just about there and you need to kind of tip it over. What does it mean to the airlines? If you got 300 people who want to fly each day, you need to have enough airplanes with seats to cover that market, right? And then let's make it even more difficult because we got both Delta and American flying into LaGuardia. So now those two airlines have to have enough airplanes, but not too many, or they're going to be empty. And they don't make any money on empty seats, right? So somebody guess what the PDUs are to International Falls, Minnesota. Come on. One. That's about the closest guess I've ever gotten. 0.1. So every 10 days, somebody wants to fly to International Falls, Minnesota, and this lady thinks that it should fly empty for the other 9 days so that she gets direct service. You see what my life is like? This is the world of the airline industry. You know, it's a really, really tough industry. You can't control any of it. We can't. Another person called me one day and she says, "I've got a great idea." I'm like, "Okay, what's the idea?" You should invite. Who was it? Southwest. You should invite Southwest Airlines to fly here. And I'm like, oh, what a great idea. You know, have you got a phone number? I mean, seriously, people believe that that's the only reason they're not here because I haven't invited them. So, you know, we live with this. It's crazy, and it is what it is. You can't control it. But there is something that we can control, and that is standing on the shoulders of those people who had bought all this land and prepared us to be ready and do something with what they gave us. So economic development at the airport. The airport, and by the way, some of these numbers are actually 1 year late as well now, or I mean, they were last fiscal year, so a couple months late. But we're almost now at $10 billion of economic impact to the state. That's just this one airport. Not Kevin's number, by the way. This is not my number. This is generated by NCDOT. They do it every 2 years, and they do it for every airport in the state. How many airports are there in the state? Yes, come on. 72. There's 72 airports in the state. 10 of those are commercial service airports. All right? The other ones are smaller airports. They do it for every one of those, and they calculate the economic impact for every single one of them. $10 billion almost now from this airport. Almost 10,000 people working at the airport right now with an average salary right around $90,000, right? So you start doing that math, you're talking about really big numbers just from the impact of the staff or the employees working on the airport. Forget about all of those who are related to the airport in some way and have their job because of it. And this is usually, if I'm talking to an elected official somewhere, you start talking about the secondary employment, and their eyes roll over and kind of glass over and like, okay, all this extra employment. But I was that person working as a consultant for this airport for 10 years. My office wasn't in the airport. It wasn't on the airport. It was in an office building off the airport. And we were, though, working 100% on projects for the airport. So that, I count in that 22,000 back in those days. Average salaries recovered. So, you know, this makes us, by the way, the 5th largest employer in the Triad after the 2 school systems and the 2 health systems. Now, I know it's cheating because I'm including all 50-some companies that work on the airport. Our staff is 130 people. I mean, it's not us. It's the airlines. It's all these companies that we're talking about. But, you know, it's fair to consider it as a hub, as a team. They have to be on the airport. So I don't think that it's unfair for me to say it's the 5th largest center of employment. And by the way, when you add 14,500 jobs from a Jet Zero, when you add 2,400 from a Boom, 250 from Marshall, and a couple of others that we're not going to mention today that we're chasing, who the heck knows what it'll be later. So back again to 12, 15 years ago-ish, the thing that used to keep me awake at night was, imagine that Boeing shows up at our door. Sorry, these papers are sliding off. Boeing shows up at our door, and they say, we need 500 acres of land. It needs to be next to a runway, next to an interstate. It needs to be flat. We want it next Friday. No environmental problems. Water and sewer there. And we want it for free. Can you name that tune? And if not, we're going to South Carolina or Florida or Wichita, or you get it. So that used to scare the heck out of me. That would keep me awake at night because who would want to lose that? By that time, we already had Honda here. And Honda was employing at that time probably about 1,500 people. Imagine if we had lost Honda. Imagine if we didn't have Matty employed, right? Imagine if all of those folks were gone and all of the economic impact that that company has created over the last 20 years now. That would just be awful. And so if a company came along and wanted that kind of land and we couldn't say yes, shame on us. But we had some stuff that we had to figure out. Oh, there's I could have just put that up instead of reading it all to you. We had to figure out at that time, and I might have to step over here so I can see this. What you see in yellow was the land that the airport owned at that time. And we said, all right, we got to figure out what we're going to do. And we actually put together a 50-year plan. I'm not going to go through all 50 years. I'm just going to show you the first 10 because that was the most important. And what we did was to say, all right, first of all, we need to do some infill. There's developers in the road. You know what infill is. It's basically building out to a natural boundary. And so we started acquiring those properties. And then the biggest key that we had to get done for this was to get Interstate 73 built, right? Once you do that, you can demolish the old part of Bryan Boulevard, which if you'll notice on there, it's right next to our northern runway. And that right where it's sitting could be another Boeing site at some point in the future, right? So we had to get rid of that. Then you can build a taxiway that goes out and over top of that new interstate road, and now all of a sudden you have 1,000 acres of land open. So that land that you're looking at in green, is it green? That green land is where right now Boom, Marshall, and soon to be Jet Zero are sitting. So thank God that I couldn't sleep at night. But now the problem is I'm starting to not be able to sleep again because Jet Zero is about to take up all the land that we got left. Just about. This is a good problem to have, but it's a problem nonetheless. By the way, the 50-year plan starts to cover that. It looks at further acquiring land, and it's pretty funny because back in the days that we brought that out, a lot of the developers of the world and a lot of you in this room probably were part of the crowd, really took me on in some meetings like this and said, what the hell, you're covering up all this land that we could be selling to developers or selling to some company who wants to build a building. And my response was, go for it, go build it. And we're standing here as a permanent backstop for you in case that building ever fails, whatever. We'll acquire it at some point in the future. So anyway, 50 years, we'll see what happens then. So what you see here in the foreground is Boom on the right-hand side and Marshall. I think this is labeled. Okay, so here we go. This is the Boom project. You know, these numbers are all from the company, but you're talking about $32 billion worth of impact from this project alone. And, 2,400 employees once they get up to full speed. Where they are right now is that they're in development of their own engine. And until that engine gets developed, I don't think we're going to see a whole lot more moving quickly with the airframe itself. They're expecting to run that engine for the first time by the end of this year. So stay tuned is what I would say. That is their building. And I can explain to you, I won't do it now because it takes a little bit of time. Anybody who wants to hear it. That building is designed, we called it alternative utility. And these are startup companies. Right? So shame on us if we just say, sure, whatever you want, we'll build it however you want. We said, you can build it, but we want to build it, and so you got to design it in a way that, in case something goes wrong with your plan, we want to be able to use it for something else. Alternative utility. So what this is basically us being the good stewards of the state's money to make sure that this thing could be, one way or another, that's going to be employing people. That's the way I look at it. And they're going to need houses. Marshall, popping up next to it. Marshall is a MRO, maintenance, repair, and overhaul. They work only on C-130s, and they're a Cambridge, England-based company. 80-year-old company, really solid. This is not a startup by any means, and we're really excited to see some C-130s start rolling out. This is about a 250-person operation, so it's not that grand slam of a Jet Zero, but it's a really solid single. That's a C-130 that they would work on. You see that their investment is about $70 million, and as I said, in the mid-200s for their employment. So Jet Zero will take pretty much everything else that is left out there, and it's basically the green that you see on the bottom of that slide. We have some site plans, but we're really sort of still under NDAs with them on these site plans, and we think it's just a little bit too early to show them publicly. I'll just say that they were here all last week, and we were working through leases with them, working through what site plans will look like, et cetera, and this stuff just takes time, especially when you're talking about 700-800 acres, and I think we're looking at 3 million square feet of facilities at this point. That's a meaningful number to all of you guys, I know. Their investment over $4 billion, close to $5 billion, really. And again, 14,000 employees. This is a company that's going to compete with Boeing. So I usually get asked that question, who are they going to sell to? They're going to sell to the airlines. And they've got a really specific niche that they're looking at. I'll tell you a little bit about that plane. So basically, the traditional airplane for 100 years has been what they call tube and wing, right? You got a tube that's hanging from a wing. The wing's doing all the work. This is dead weight. It might be on top of it. Somebody's out there saying, Kevin, sometimes the plane's on top of the wing. Yeah, I get it. But still, the tube's not doing any work. It's the wing doing all the work. What this concept is to turn the fuselage itself into part of the wing. And so it provides lift as well. It's not just dead weight hanging there. And what the company says is that this will create a 50% efficiency with this airplane. I don't know whether that's true, obviously, but it's probably somewhere between there. But it will be more efficient. And then the other thing that they're really aiming at is to hit a specific market niche of between 200 and 300 passengers. Because if you look at what this industry calls the single-aisle narrow-body aircraft, that's the 737 and the Airbus 321 families. That's about 80% of the airplanes flying in the world today. And then you have the really big ones, sort of 747, 777, the Airbus 350, who can carry 350, 400 passengers, some of them. But in the middle, where the 757 and the 767 used to sit, there's really becoming a problem is starting because those airplanes are all cycling out and becoming cargo airplanes at this point. And so this company is going to try and hit that 200 to 300 person market with a very efficient airplane. This could be a genius move. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. I'll start taking questions here in just a second, but I will say there's still, Lauren, I'm trying to think of how many are really outstanding right now. There's probably still 8 or 9 open projects out there, of which probably 6, 7 are just ridiculous ideas, never going to happen. And of the ones that are, I think, viable, there's 1 or 2 that I really like our chances on. There's a world out there called eVTOL right now. Electric Vertical Takeoff and Landing is what that stands for. So think George Jetson. And I'm not kidding. It's what it's like. I mean, this is a drone that'll carry 4, 6 people, whatever. Some are manned, some are unmanned. There's a whole story behind all that we could spend another 3 hours on. But do you know when George Jetson's birthday was? George Jetson was on the show. George Jetson was born July 31st, I think it was, 2022. So somewhere right now, George Jetson is out there demolishing diapers. Think about it, though. I'm telling you, on the show, it was 2062 the show was set, and he was 40 years old. There is no doubt in my mind that these eVTOL things are going to proliferate in the next 40 years. So that's going to be another industry that we need to be in front of. We need to be out in front of that. We need one of them as well. We've got such a diversity of the type of manufacturers and the type of OEMs. That's another one we need to get, though. We need to get on the front end of it. So we're chasing them. I mean, Lauren, how many eVTOLs have we pursued in the last 5 years? 6 or 8 at least. So, and some of those were the leading companies. Let me shut up and answer questions. What do you got? Fire them away. You've been drinking for a while. There's probably some tough ones out there. Hey. Right. They'll add a second one, which has always been planned. The site's master plan to handle really 3 ultimately. But yeah, so they will expand. for sure. And, something else about Boom to know along those lines. Their original business plan, I might butcher this a little bit, so don't go correcting me if I'm wrong, but they had 400 city pairs that were all coastal city pairs. So this will be, I'm going to fly from, and they included Paris as a coastal city pair. It's close enough to the northern shore, I guess. But like I call it New York to Paris, New York to London, those kind of markets. Mainly so those airplanes will stay out over the water. If this legislation passes, and there's a lot of ifs there that have to fall into line. But if that's the way it works out, it's not only the fact that they all of a sudden have a lot more markets that they can fly. Like, for instance, L.A. to New York. Think about that. I mean, that's an incredible market for a supersonic airplane. There's a lot of wealthy people want to fly from L.A. to New York every single day, and they will pay to get there in 2 hours instead of 5.5, whatever it is. But think about the investors who are talking to the Boom people. And if now all of a sudden your future possibilities include flying across the United States and connecting Miami to San Francisco, et cetera, D.C. to anywhere, I think that really changes the equation financially. And, we'll see where it goes. What else? Ladies first. Yes, our question is, what kind of updates do we have coming to the airport? And I should have talked a little bit about this, so thank you for bringing it up. You're going to start hearing very, very soon about some pretty significant updates to the airport. I can't get into too many details right now, but who here has ever gotten off a plane at like midnight, and it's the only plane arriving, and it's kind of dark, and there's nobody else in the whole terminal, right? And the ceilings are so low that even my 5'11" self can palm it, That I don't like the fact that I think that our airport needs to be the welcome mat. It needs to be the calling card. It needs to be the place where people get off of the airplane and say, "Wow, I've arrived at a really cool place." And right now, I'm afraid that it feels like you've arrived at a bus station in Newark, New Jersey, in 1972. And so we have to fix that. We just have to. And by the way, there's also other things that are leading to this. Those concourses are 43 years old, and we have to either choose to replace all the roofs, the electrical system, the fire protection system, the HVAC system, everything basically, or just rebuild them. And that's probably what's coming. You're going to hear something about that, as I said, the next few months. So you call this a teaser. If somebody's recording me out there, don't post it. But we're looking at ways to make this I want somebody to walk off an airplane and say, "Wow, I've arrived at a place of aerospace excellence. I've arrived at a place of golf excellence. Basketball, how about furniture?" One of the details I saw that I just love, and I hope makes it into the plans. So an outside corner. So like right by Robbie there, the way that door is framed, that's an outside corner, right? One of the serious outside corners in the structure inside the terminal, one of the things that the architects were proposing is to make that look like it has dovetailed joints, like when you open a drawer, right? Right there, it says, "I'm in Furniture World," right? I mean, so these kinds of things are what we want to be able to say or have people see when they get off the plane and just be really excited about where they've arrived. Think about the person like Maddie, somebody who's coming in to work at Jet Zero, and they right now live in Silicon Valley, and they're used to everything that's out in Silicon Valley, and they get here, and if they walk off of that plane and they see, like in Wichita, the airport in Wichita, when they redid it, they focused on aerospace stuff. Instead of having returns like that air return right there in the ceiling, they put them on the wall, and they made them look like the nacelle of the back of a jet engine. Like, it's so cool. And they're all along the wall. And so you don't even look at it and say, "Oh, that's a jet engine nacelle," but it registers in your brain what that is and how cool that is for to just set your tone in the airport. Question back here. Yeah, so the question was, how are we technologically with radar, and I would assume you also mean like the instrument landing approaches, all of that kind of stuff. We have, especially the newer of the two runways, so it's the one that is in the background in this image. It has the sexiest approach systems that you can possibly have on runway 5 left. Are there pilots in the room? All right, if there are, you don't answer this. Does anybody know how runways are named? So a runway 5 left, that means if you're on an airplane and you're landing on runway 5 left, the heading on your compass will be 50 degrees. All they do is cut the 0 off. Now, why left and right? Because there's 2 runways that are parallel to each other. They're the exact same. They're both 50 degrees if you're in an airplane headed towards that. One's left, one's right. We can go through, if there's 3 of them, it's right, left, center. If there's 4 of them, there's all sorts of different solutions. I'll talk to you on the side. But the tower's brand new, and so everything that they have is redundant systems like you would not believe. There's 2 elevators in the thing. I don't even know why we need an elevator, but there's 2 elevators required by FAA. That's run by FAA. It's their building. We don't deal with the tower, but we have everything that we need, infrastructure-wise. Other questions? Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a great question because after Boom and Marshall, I had reporters calling me up and say, "Oh, you must be out of business now because you've won this Boom and Marshall." And I was able to very easily turn around and say, well, actually, they're taking 9% of the land that we had. But Jet Zero is taking about 80% of what was left. So we are far from out of business. I keep telling Lauren, Brent Christensen, others, don't be talking about us being out of business. We've got a couple of sites that are 100 acres, 80 acres. We don't have a 500-acre site for Boeing right now. And, so believe me, this is a discussion that has been had for the last year with me, my board, other folks that are working on this with us. Do you want to do this? Do you want to give up the possibility of another 500-acre project for this one? And we think this one has enough promise that it's worth it. Imagine if 20 years from now, we have the 3rd aircraft manufacturer in the world, Boeing, Airbus, and Jet Zero. That would be pretty cool. So there's a couple sites left. Yeah, you want to follow? Yes. So all the way back to I put that drawing up on the wall that was showing you how we kind of planned out how everything was going to happen over the next 10 years. I didn't bore you with this the coat of many colors drawing that we had that showed all the enabling projects that had to be done to make sure that we would be ready once we got all the grading ready and the road was built and all that stuff. One of those was having water and sewer run to the site. So we worked with, Robbie was the mayor at that time, we worked with Robbie and with city council and with county commissioners at that time and said, we really need to have water at a couple points and sewer. Because the airport is not in Greensboro. That's not kind of very well known. The airport is in Guilford County, not in Greensboro, but Greensboro provides water and sewer. And all of that got brought out through a couple of projects that the city did, 2013 and 14, I think. Yes? I don't know. The question is, what is the timeline for Jet Zero's completion? I think what we're going to see is work commencing on the first pieces this fall and the first big piece next spring. And I think it could, we're probably looking at a 2030 time frame before all of the initial phase is built out. And then there'll still be expansion even beyond that, not unlike the idea of Boom, adding a second FAL, it's called Final Assembly Line. So that's kind of 2030-ish is what to look for. But also what's really important to look for is that they are right now building one of these airplanes out in California under a contract with the U.S. Air Force. They are expected to fly that in the summer of 27, so 2 years from now. Be watching that. If that happens and stays on schedule, then I like the idea of the 2030 schedule. Yeah. So I think that by 2030 it had gotten to 7,000 or 8,000, but don't hold me to that. I know the first year was 800. They got to 2,000 by the end of 27, and how the rest of it goes up, it's all still in flux until they get this all figured out. So please don't use those numbers, because we're working through all of this right now. It's the chairman of our board, after we won this, it was a couple days afterwards, he looked at me and said, now the hard part starts. And it's true, because now you got to figure this animal out. This is a big puzzle. Yes. We are buying property, so Bon Air, if you know that neighborhood, which is right across Pleasant Ridge from the airport. That's been on our plan since, that was sort of, so I showed you the plans, our first 10 years, told you we were going all the way out to 50. In the second 10-year period, that was phase 2, and it included Bon Air and sort of the other homes that are north of there, all the way up to the Duke Energy right-of-way that runs through there. We're not going after land. We put a note in everybody's mailbox, said, if you're interested in selling, we're here. And I think if you go talk to any of them, they're going to tell you that we have a really good approach. I have a lady that is our properties person. Some of you may know her. Her name's Karen Nippenberg, and she did what you all do at one point, and she's the best, and she has a great attitude, and she's honest, and she's straight, and which I think that's all of our staff. We're just kind of straight shooters, no BS, if you will, and I think that the people like working with us. So yeah, that is one neighborhood, and then there's one-off houses here and there, but for the most part, that's the only sort of defined subdivision. Yes. Yes, and I can't quote them all to you. If you go to their website, the question was, do they have orders from airlines? And they do. I think United, American, Japan Airlines, I can't remember who else. But yes, there are. Yeah. Well, there's 2 hands up over there. Boeing? No. Boeing does not own any. And by the way, nobody owns it but the airport authority. Even Honda, for instance, we own those buildings on a brick-by-brick basis as they're built. It's airport authority property. They paid to do it. All they get is its beneficial use for 50 years. This will be the last one. They have not. They have not. No. Yes. It's in it, but that we will probably wait as long as we can to go after that apartment complex. Why? Because it sits way over in one corner, right? There's also a church at the other end. Same thing. We can probably develop with them staying in place. That apartment complex could be important housing for all these people that are moving in. So yeah, we would prefer not to get into that. All right, I think the hook's here. Thank you all so much.
Thank you again, Kevin. He's got to head out and go secure those other things he won't quite tell us about yet. So thank you again, Kevin. And Kevin's right when he said we have people in the room to thank for a lot of these things. A lot of our own members are people that are behind the scenes all the time that work with these people, and we don't even realize it sometimes. So just keep your ears open, and we guys will keep you informed. Let me figure out where in the heck I am on this. Okay. I am going to move quickly because obviously that was super important for us to hear, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. So we are super thankful to have him here. One thing I would like to do that is not to be understated after this is to recognize all of our 50-year or plus, can you imagine? Good Lord. 50-year or plus agents to stand, because what a special time to celebrate, because you guys know how hard it is to do this on a daily basis, so I would love to recognize those people. We have Frank Kuster, I'm not sure if these people are here, John McCracken, Tom Somerville, and our own Betty Smith. Betty, that is not a stand-up. That is like come do a cartwheel across the front and let's do a hoorah and so okay. Maybe next time. So please congratulate Betty on that accomplishment, because it takes a special soul, and you've got to be good at what you do to do that so long. So thank you for everything you've done for our industry and continue to do. We are going to have a few, and I'm going to emphasize quick announcements because we still have quite a bit to do. First, we claim them as our own. We're going to have Jean Brown come up from Community Housing Solutions and get us ready, because in a few weeks we're going to be working with Jean. So thank you. It's good to see you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Great to be here again this year. Believe it or not, this is the 17th year for Realtors Are Rebuilding, and you can thank Kathy Carpenter and Sophia Chris back in, I think it was 2008 or so, came and said, you know, we'd like to get together and help folks in our community that own their home or would like to buy a home. And so for those that are not familiar with Community Housing Solutions, just really quickly, we, a nonprofit serving Guilford County, do about 160 home repairs a year, investing about $1.4 million in helping to preserve home ownership for folks that can't financially or physically do the work themselves. We also build about 8 to 10 new homes. We're currently working in the High Point area for folks that are employed and want to buy a home but have to be under a lower income qualifying criteria. So we invest about $4 million a year in preserving or providing home ownership here in Guilford County. And real excited to partner with you all again. And let's see. Realtors Are Rebuilding. Let's see if I can do this right. There we go. Really excited. The folks we help serve, 75% are elderly or disabled. And I'm really, really excited. I've got a chance to meet Miss Joan Brinsfield. She's 78 years old, lives alone by herself. She's part of our Aging Gracefully program, where we partner with Cone Health. So occupational therapists and registered nurses do home visits and go into the home. And what I like to say, they write a prescription for accessibility modifications. But what I like the most about Miss Brinsfield, I noticed she had all these dolls in her home. And I said, oh, what are you doing with this? She actually makes homemade dolls and gives them out to individuals she just feels has maybe lost a loved one or a change in their life where they need something to hug. And I think she just has a great heart. She's actually having hip replacement surgery this coming Monday. She said she's only going to be gone 3 days. The hospital's in and out, but she's going to be home. And then the following week, Realtors are going to be able to help do 2 things for us. One, that front yard, she's got 3 steps. She's actually tripped over this in the past. She has arthritis, but we need about 7 to 8 folks to help Paul Baldwin over 2 days build an access ramp and an area in the front that she can sit on her front porch. So that's going to be priority 1 that we'll be doing. And then the other thing is, believe it or not, the upper left-hand corner, there's actually an HVAC, AC, and heating unit, a heat pump behind that. Because she's had a lot of issues with arthritis, she loves the outdoors, loves plants, but has not been able to keep up with it. So we're looking for 7 to 8 folks that don't mind tearing down a lot of brush, weeding some beds and planting flowers. If there's anyone that's really interested in helping kind of coordinate it and kind of really put a beautification touch on this home, I'd love to talk with you as well. Reach out to Aiden and they can connect me with me. But we're looking for 14 volunteers over the course of, in 2 weeks, the Tuesday, Wednesday, in 2 weeks coming. And then we've got a rain date on that Thursday. But real excited to have you come out. It's 8:30 to 3:30 we work for the 2 days. Breakfast and lunch, I think, are provided, Aiden, and coffee and all that kind of good stuff. Paul Baldwin and possibly Joseph from our staff will be out there for the 2 days to do the project. So thank you so much for partnering with us again, and looking forward to sharing pictures and how it impacts Miss Brinsfield's life. Thank you.
Thank you, Gene, for everything that you do. Looking forward to that. And if any of you were wondering, like me, what he was saying, he has an accent kind of like Mike. He was saying dolls. I think, like, where I'm from is dolls. So I I was like, oh, she makes dolls. So thank you. Thank you for that. I'm looking forward to that. I always love hearing their story. It makes a big difference. I don't know if you needed that, Gene, but I'll save it for you. And make sure you sign up for that because it is a limited, there are limited spaces, and so we can't have chaos out there. Even though you don't have to have experience, you do need to sign up. We do need to plan. Gene needs to plan for the numbers and what we're going to be doing because they have their act together, so we don't have to. So just make sure that you do sign up. Yes. Yes, yes. So make sure you go ahead and sign up so Jean can prepare for us. Thank you again, Jean. If I can have up quickly Carrie Thompson. She is from the family room, and she's going to speak to us briefly.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sorry, I'm one of your short friends. Is that what you said, the short friends? Yes. Yes, my name is Carrie Thompson. I have seen some of you before. Some of you have heard me speak. I saw some of you at City Council last night. That was nice to see your faces again. Family Room is a nonprofit here in Greensboro. We're housed in Greensboro, but we serve children all throughout the state of North Carolina. Our mission is to love, encourage, and support families that foster and children in foster care. Raise your hand if you know a child. I was going to make y'all stand up to make sure you wake up, but raise your hand if you know a child that you love. Okay, raise your hand if you would be heartbroken if that child was removed from their home today and placed in foster care. Yes, yeah, that happens every day, and Family Room is here to help them. So, imagine that child was picked up by a stranger today, the social worker, and taken to a stranger's home, their foster parent, and left in that home, and there's nothing in that home that belongs to them. They don't have a bed, they don't have a mattress, they don't have bedding, they don't have their own clothes, their own toys, their own shoes. Nothing in this house belongs to them. Now imagine you're that foster parent, right? You said yes. I love what Kevin said. About his greatest fear is that I'm going to be able to say yes. Our big thing at Family Room is empowering foster parents to say yes. But they know that those kids are coming with nothing. And they know that it's their responsibility to go buy that nothing, that everything for them. So we're here to empower that yes. So when that child is placed in your home as a foster parent, you know that you can call us. And we have an on-call phone 24/7. When those kids come into foster care, we're always there for them. Right? We want to make sure that we empower you to say yes, the foster parents, right? So why am I here today, right? I'm trying to talk really fast and not make y'all cry because what we do is hard. The stories are difficult because what kids go through is painful. But on the flip side, we also get to see the beauty in the world with foster parents saying yes and with people like you being involved in what Family Room does to support these kids. So you guys sell homes, right? Right? Notice I said homes. You don't sell houses. You sell homes, right? And home ownership is hugely important to everyone. I am not a finance person. I have never been able to balance my home budget in the 33 years that I have been married. But one thing that I did know when we got married was the best thing for us was to own our own home. And when I started Family Room 7 years ago, 8 years ago, oh my God, I don't know. 7 years ago. Yeah, 7 years ago. It was our 10-year plan that by our 10th anniversary, Family Room would own their own home. Because just like that I don't know who it was that shared the first thing, the hereafter leader. I want to be that hereafter leader. I want to be the person that when I'm gone, when we're all gone, Family Room is always here. So they own their own home. So we are in negotiations with a piece of land. I love that he was also talking about land. It just all kind of comes together. We're doing a capital campaign to raise money, to buy land, to build Family Room's forever home. And one piece of that is that part of the campaign, look in the back, and this is Miss Ashley. Ashley, she's amazing. Ashley has taken on, she is on our capital campaign committee, and she has taken on helping me to find 50 realtors that will commit over the next 6 months to raise $1,000 each to go towards our capital campaign, to build Family Room a forever home, so that when we are long gone, Family Room is always here. Because we're going to be gone, the social workers are going to change, the foster parents are going to change, but children are always going to be coming into foster care. They're always going to need their community, and we want to make sure that Family Room is always here. And so stop by and see us at the table before you guys leave, and we have lots of paperwork and opportunities for you guys to come and see Family Room and learn more about what we do and how you guys can support this effort to build a forever home for Family Room. Thank you.
And thank you again for everything you do. I was starting to cry and you hadn't even started a story yet, so we want to support you any way that we can. Next, we are going to have John Keene, and he's not going to make us cry, so you can come on up. Jean and Carrie are pulling on a heartstring, so now you need to let's get us back on track with the numbers. So, well, hopefully you're not going to make. Oh, okay.
I actually did it once. In my 20s, I foster parented for 10 weeks, and it's an incredible experience. And then they share pictures as the child's growing. And so, fine, tee me up for this one. I like it. And then somebody's 50 years, I'm 42 years. So, yeah. Real quickly, what I was asked to do is just kind of touch base with everybody because I know, everybody sees in the news and all the things going on with nonprofits. There are levels of service that we can provide. Obviously, we do the tax returns, kind of necessary evil with the IRS. But you also have compilation reviews audits. Compilation, no assurance at all. Okay, help you put it in a pretty format, that's all there is. Reviews is your center column. I'm going to key on one word, limited. A review is limited assurance. What's happening is we're doing analytical procedures, we're talking to management, we're looking at key items, and that's it. We have to be independent, and we issue an opinion on it, but it's limited. Now you go to the most expensive kind, the audit. The audit is reasonable assurance. And I'm going to say that one more time. Reasonable assurance. There is no absolute assurance no matter what you do. When you look at the opinion, if I look at a review opinion, it says we've done analytical, nothing came to our attention that says these financials are not materially correct. What is materiality? If I book it or I don't book it, does it change your decision? That's materiality. It's not some huge number. It can be a small number. Okay? In an audit, it says these financials are fairly presented, period. Huge difference. Okay, so what's happened with this organization is you used to have audits periodically. Audits have gotten super expensive. Most nonprofits have gotten away from them. Okay, the audit, it was $20,000 seven years ago, $35,000. And it's requirements we're under, there's no choice. So what happens is, you piggyback it, you flip to the next one. And what happens is, as we do a review, we're doing analytical, and we're piggybacking. Okay, if you flip to the next page, agreed upon procedures. It's kind of a middle ground. What it says is, do the review, and if there's no reason to accelerate to an audit, periodically, let's look at internal controls, but let's do it on agreed upon procedures, which means we sit down, we agree on the procedures, and then we report on what we found. We're not giving an opinion, we report on what we found. And then if there's a finding, then you can dig deeper. Why are nonprofits going to it? It's less expensive, it's flexible when you do it, and it's focused on what your concern is. Audit, we're focused on everything. Agreed upon procedures, we're focused on specific things. So as you look at deciding, review, audit, those kinds of scenarios, most of my nonprofits have gone reviews, and they've gone to agreed upon procedures because it's far less expensive and they're getting more out of it. And it's sad. Now, do you have to have an audit? Some people do. Okay, if you have solicitation licenses, things like that, there is no choice. You've got to have it. But you'll find it's very difficult to find auditors anymore because it's just so expensive and there's a shortage of personnel. So as you go forward, people ask my opinion. Review and agreed upon procedures because now you can focus exactly where you want to focus. that's what we do. That's what we've done for you guys for God knows how long. It's scary. I've been doing this for 42 years, but it's the most unique time for CPAs you're ever going to see with AI coming about and the shortage of personnel. So I told you I'd keep it short. I have to because it touched my heartstrings. I remember the little ones. So I'm open to questions, and I know it's a discussion that you have every year. I think you're sitting in a good position. In all the years we've done it, we've never come across anything that give us any reason to doubt the numbers. The big difference in audit, we go outside to third parties. Reviews, it's all here. When I say outside third parties, we're confirming with outside third parties what's happening. But if a review is 14, that audit's 25 plus. So most times you better spend $1 for the group and still get what you're looking for. Quick enough? You know, I can talk about it.
Thank you, John, for always taking care of us. It is no small task, and so we appreciate you because he's sharp, he's right on it if we ever have any questions, and so we appreciate your time and always being with us. Thank you. Yeah, see you guys. Okay, exciting. I'm going to invite up Scott. We have, 10 winners for the RPAC raffle left, and he gets to make the big, look at all those winners. Look at all those investors for RPAC. How cool is that? And if you haven't picked up your prizes from Barbara, please, please, please do it before you leave today so they don't have to track you down. And they're prizes, so why would you not want to grab your prizes? So I'm going to let Scott do his thing.
All right, this is cool. Thank you all. Just a big shout out to everybody who bought a raffle ticket for a reverse raffle this year. My Vice Chair, Sophia, you want to come up and do the honor of sticking the names on the prizes as we go down the line? And Peter looks like he's ready to get this show on the road. So we have names here, and the first prize is on here. What's the on this far side? Nope, right here.
Number 10 is a gift basket.
Get the gift basket. It's a $100 value gift basket from Zito's in downtown Greensboro. Barbara Weaver. All right, Barbara, you take Barbara's name right here. Stick that on there. And then what's the next one? Balance Day Spa, $100. Oh, Wayne Young. All right, you go get your nails done, Wayne. They'll look great.
I thought you were going to say Kevin Green.
There you go. All right, the next one. What's the next prize? What do we got there? $150 to the Grasshoppers, and that is Heather Dodson. Is Heather here? She was. Oh, there's Heather. I see her. Okay. All right, Heather. All right, next. Oh, the new hockey team opening night package. 2 tickets to see the Gargoyles. We got Kelly Marks. There we go. Outstanding. All right. What's the next prize? Grand Over Resort, $150. Let's go. Crystal Williams, congrats. Very good. You got a friend here. Might want to go. All right, what's the next prize? $200 Visa card. Let's go. Kevin Green, $200. There we go. That's nice.
There were no pets involved. So that's
No pets. All right, what's next? Number 1 zoo in the country. It's a membership. There you go, Mike. Perfect. Mike, take your kids to the zoo. I saw Mike. Where's Mike? Okay. $200 to Tanger Center. Go buy you some shows. Look at that, John Newman. John, congrats, man. And he's got another one in the run here. So, what's next there, Sophia? Oh, this Yeti cooler is nice. If you didn't see it outside, there we go. Kathy Carpenter, congrats. And I wonder who's winning the last one. Got to spin it. The last prize. $250 to Queensweaver Properties. So there you go. Congrats, everybody. Thank you for your contribution to RPAC. And now we're moving on to more fun stuff. Thanks, Sophia.
Thank you, guys. The prizes were great this year, and that's a lot of work to actually organize all of that. So thank y'all for doing it, and the most beautiful Vanna that we've had in a while. So thank you, Scott, for your work this year, because it's not been easy to collect RPAC dues in a more of a challenging year, and yet you did it, which I had no doubt you and Sophia are going to do whatever you need to do. So thank you both for your work, because RPAC is tough, but that's the fun part. So congrats to all the winners. I know that you guys want to hear me run through the whole annual report, but I hate to disappoint you. We are not. So I am going to be respectful of our time, because I like it when people do the same. That does not mean that this is not super, super important, and we haven't done more than ever. And I am happy to answer any questions, but what we are going to do in lieu of is to post this in the hub, and I may do a video. Aiden's waiting on a video from me from like 3 weeks ago, so don't hold your breath. But we will get this information to you, and I promise you we are here to answer any of those questions, and it is by no means belittling everything that we have done this year. We'll probably bring it up at one of the other meetings, but it's time to roll on, because my hands are sweating and my stomach hurts for y'all, and I know what it feels like to sit in your seat, and so I'm going to do that, because first off, and I'm not going to be cliche, but I'm going to speak from the heart, for everybody that has put themselves out there, you're doing more than most. And so what I want to do is thank you, because our board is the most beautiful combination of experience and opinions and leadership, and you guys just get it right every year, and it seems to be the timing of the leadership. And it's always been my privilege to be a part of it, and it's such a commitment, but it's such an honor to be able to be a part of it. So what you guys have done is you've stuck your neck out, and that's more than 90% of the members of our association. And so for that, I appreciate you, and I don't take it lightly. I will also say, and then I'll shut up, I promise. I'll also say, if for some reason you find yourself on the other side of the position for this particular year, some of our best leaders have come out of people that did not win their first time or their second time. And so please do not take it to heart, because you already are a leader, because you stepped up. We need you in so many different ways. Do not disappear, because we watch what leaders do when they don't win. And so keep it in the right attitude, and know that we need you. If you fall off, we take it as that you're not there for the right reasons. We will need you for the next year. We'll need you for the next 10 years. So continue to step up. If for some reason your name is not called, because we love you just the same, we have no control over this. We love you just the same, but just keep showing up. Don't disappear, because leaders current and in the future are watching what you do from here, and we want you to be here. So thank you. I'm really nervous for y'all. And I begged Mike to tell me this stuff. He didn't tell me anything. He holds it close to his chest, and I tell you, I try to be sweet. Terrified I'm going to say the wrong thing. Let me do it in the right order. Okay, this is the year. This is the year that we are going to have 3 directors, and it alternates. So, and this is done by order of total votes. And so, the 3 directors for this upcoming year will be number 1, Philip Stone. And this is in no particular order. I'm just reading it as it's on there. Ellen Chow. And William Stephen Allen. Congratulations to you 3. The RCA representative, we're lucky to have Julie Powers stepping into that position for us. So thank you. Congratulations. For the 2025 Assistant Treasurer, that will be Wayne Young. And for the 2025 President-elect, that will be Mr. John Newman. Congratulations to all winners. Please stay after the meeting and congratulate your friends and give a big hug to our other friends. Aiden would like to take a few pictures of the winners, and thank you guys again for your time this afternoon. Meeting's adjourned.